Hanukkah number 1. Shalom everybody. We did again this historic class for Refuah Shalema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. Any names you want to mention, please do so. Anybody that want to sponsor a class, please contact me privately. We're studying Be'ezrat Hashem few classes about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is like in 3 weeks, right? Wednesday evening. It's going to be on Wednesday evening, and we'll have maybe 3 or 4 classes top. So I'll try to focus on the halachot first, and when we're done, we'll go a little bit about the background, what happened those days, what led to this disaster with a war against the Greeks and all that. So everybody knows that in Hanukkah we light the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, right? Beit HaMikdash. Which menorah they light in the Beit HaMikdash? Quick question, huh? The main one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam she'akol nihya b'dvaro. So you're saying the main one? The western. What?
Only the first piece of English had a menorah, and the second didn't have a menorah.
They had to have. Not the same for sure.
No,
There are a few of them. But imagine that the Greeks going into the Beit HaMikdash. Imagine the situation. They make everything impure, they break here, they break there. Whatever they could take and upload their chariots, right? The U-Haul, they did. They actually emptied the place and broke many stuff and tried to put it on fire. So would you expect that they'll leave the golden menorah there standing?
No.
That's not going to happen, right? So they took it with them. There was no menorah. So what menorah they used? This is a tractate of...
I've never thought about this before.
Oh, this is why we're here for.
Yes, never.
Exactly for that reason.
I was like, oh, they got oil, it's so amazing.
All right, so wait and see. So Rosh Hashanah, Masechet, the tractate Rosh Hashanah, in page Chavdaled, okay, 24b, describe the situation a little bit and says that they didn't really use the menorah because the Greeks took it with them. They improvised the menorah with, it's called kanei barzel, which the branches of this menorah were made out of metal. When they could afford, sometimes later, they made it out of silver. And we could afford it, they made it later out of gold. Right? Some says they might use in the very beginning the very spears that they used in the war. It was a mess. On one hand, they could not find anything. It's a miracle that they found the jar, right? But they have to improvise somehow in order to lit the menorah. This is just something to think about on the questions that can raise of what happened at that time. Yes.
So if maybe they use spears, because I always think of it being like curved like this, but I saw like Chabad.
No, nothing is curved. It's very straight.
Yeah, Chabad
What?
is like a straight one. It's like this.
It's straight, but the flame of the... So, imagine this is one of the branches, okay? It's one of them. There's the middle one. There's three, and the 7th. Okay, so this is one of the 3. The middle one, the flame went up straight. And all those on the side were facing that flame. So you could see flames that went like in a curve, a little bit toward the middle. 3 on this side, 3 on this side. Yeah. The menorah was like what you see here. I don't know if people can see on the video. Okay, the victory over the Greeks that rested wrested them from their control over Yerushalayim took place on 25 of Kislev. The victorious Kohanim returned to the Beit HaMikdash to resume their sacred service. But they found not more than one flask of oil suitable for kindling the menorah. Why is only one that it was suitable?
Because it still has a seal.
There's a seal. Yeah, there's a seal. Kind of like what they do here, the vod of the kashrus. Give it take, okay? What does that mean, kind like? Meaning that back then they did with the wax, some sort of a wax, a string, to make sure if anybody will try to open it, it will show. And immediately it makes it impure. And they have to replace it or make a new one. Okay. All the rest had been contaminated by the Greeks. These flax contained enough oil for 1 day use. A miracle occurred, however, and the one flask of oil sufficed for 8 days. And in the meantime, they crushed olives to produce more suitable oil. What type of oil? Why they can't just go to Tam Tam and buy oil? What's the problem? I'm sure there's a lot of merchanters in the area. Even though they hide the stuff from the Greeks, they had in the basement oil. There's enough oil all over. Just get this oil.
But this one's like blessed or tithe or something.
Bless, I can bless it. Bring it to me, I'll bless it.
The first drop.
The first drop, what does that mean?
The first drop when they crush the olive.
This is called katit lamaor. What is katit lamaor?
The first drop.
The first drop. The second will be disqualified. Okay? Oil for the menorah comes, even today, they're using, I think, 3 rounds. 3 rounds of oil. The oil is a cold press. You go to Costco, you go to Tam Tam. Of course, no comparison. First batch, when they're crushing it, they call it a cold press or something like that. Okay? And the second one, it's called, forgot the name, it's called forgot the name, there's a name for it. It means that it comes, it's not such a great quality. Maybe you can look it up, huh?
Like
And the third,
extra virgin olive oil or virgin olive oil?
right, extra virgin, that's the first batch, the first press. The second one is called pica, something like that. If you look it up, let me know when you find the name. The quality is not so great. It's the second round on what's left from. They're just bringing it back to the machine and you press it again. And the third, whatever left over, they're making it for the soap industry, I don't know, this kind of things. So there's not too much waste. Today they know how to use it. Back then they were even more strict. They used a very small amount and they take only the first drop. It's a special oil that will go for the service in the Beit HaMikdash, in the temple. Okay? That was that oil. That brings a question that I actually wanted to ask later. Let me ask you later. Okay. It's a very famous question. Everybody asks this question every year on Hanukkah. Did you find the
I was
oil?
looking. I saw cold press. I didn't see the other.
No, just write olive oil and then to see the names on the bottles. You see, it's not a regular name.
Okay, I'll leave it.
They're selling it relatively cheaper than regular. In commemoration of this miracle, our sages of that generation decreed that these 8 days, beginning with 25 Kislev, are to be celebrated every year by all Jews as days of joy, designated for singing praises to God. They institute a mitzvah to kindle lights on each of the 8 evenings to represent the miracle that had occurred then. The 8 days are called Hanukkah, meaning the days of inauguration of the Beit HaMikdash. Lachnoch, Hanukkah, Honech. It comes from inauguration. Did you find anything? No, not yet?
I'm looking.
Is it like cold press?
It's cold press is the first batch, and the second one called. Okay, it's not recommended. You can buy it in store. It's even kosher. It's just not a great quality. Remember, it's the second press.
I just always buy mine from Chile.
From Chile? Good for you, Amy.
Italian ones.
Good for you. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Good. This halacha is cited from the Rambam's Mishneh Torah, Hilchot Hanukkah, and so forth and so on. Okay. The next halacha is, it is proper to study the halachot of Hanukkah annually at that time of the year, in the days preceding Hanukkah, so that one will be familiar with them in all their details. So, for example, who is obligated in the household to kindle the Chanukiah, the menorah? Sometimes you're going to use the word menorah, sometimes Chanukiah. It's the same, okay? Pumak, that's the name, Pumak. Pumak. You'll see it says Pumak. Pumak, it's every time you see cheap oil, relatively, it means that it's either Pumak or you see olive oil, but with very small letters it says mixed with no Pumak, mixed with regular oil, like vegetable oil or something like that. But they're going to write it in very small letters. It's there. It's written. But what you see, olive oil. Olive oil, usually it's around, average today, $7 per liter. If you can find $5 per liter, you find it? Just you can write on Google Pumak oil, and you see what's the
It's written as
pumice?
pumice.
Oh, so I'm sorry for my English. Pumice. Okay, what's the definition of it? What it says?
It says it's a lower quality than other olive oils because the chemicals used during extraction.
Say it again.
Lower quality than the other olive oils because of the chemicals used during extraction.
Okay, so in order to bring some more from the leftover, they add in chemicals. So this is why it's a low. How you call it? Pumas?
It said it's written as pumice. P-O-M-A.
Pumice? Like promise. Okay.
My rabbi said Puma, so that's how.
That's it. That's the attitude.
Yeah. My rabbi said Puma, so.
It's Puma. Pumice.
There's soap commercials and they say.
There's a brand.
And they used to say, like it was some big deal, hey, it's made with pumice. They use the word pumice.
Maybe it's come from derived from this.
You're supposed to do an extra duty.
It may have been lobby soap. It may have been lobby soap. It's a national brand.
Okay, guys, back to business. So who is obligated to kindle the menorah, the menorah? How many menorahs you should have at home?
One menorah, the head of the house, or anyone in the house.
Your child wants to light the menorah. Says, Abba, we learned today in the school, third day school,
Not the main one.
Can we work? Can we do some work? Can we eat while the candles are lit? Can we have a seudah? Can we work?
Not for 30 minutes.
What if I miss all night, a very late flight, and I came home after dawn? I can't do it at the airport. I can't do it while driving all the way home. Dawn is 5 o'clock. I came home 5:30. Can I kindle it to the memory of the day I missed? Should I add another menorah the next day
But you haven't reached
to
the night
compensate?
yet, the new night.
Guys, it's food for thought. I'm not expecting you to answer. This is what we're going to deal with. What's up with the donuts? Why are we eating donuts? And there's a Jewish. Are we cops? Are we police officers? What is up with that?
Anything that's fried
No offense to the caps. Okay, no offense.
I think that's regional. The donuts is like regional.
Oh, no, that's international.
Let me tell you, in Israel, when I was a child, you couldn't find donuts around, only before Hanukkah. Meaning, when we saw donuts at the store, we said, oh, Hanukkah is coming. Today, you have it all over, a different kind, on a daily basis, there's no problem. But back then, we used to buy choco. You know what choco? It's a chocolate milk and a donut, but the donut looks like, I don't know, half of a what do you call this, football. That was that.
Oh, yeah.
You take a bite, you see all the jelly coming out of it, got into your nose. You got all this powder around you. Everybody noticed you ate donuts.
Donut party.
That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Okay, we should consider that. Okay, next.
So did you answer the question?
About what? Oh, well, be patient. For that, you have to listen. This is just jumping ahead. Okay, performing acts of labor on Hanukkah. Listen to this. The custom is that a woman refrain from acts of labor, such as sewing and crocheting. During the first half hour that the Hanukkah lights are burning in the home each evening of the holiday. So don't take advantage, it's just 30 minutes and get back to work. Right? This custom is meant to serve as a reminder that it is forbidden to make use of any illumination radiated by the Hanukkah lights. Women may cook, bake, and perform any act of food preparation. Okay? Some women have the practice of refraining from work throughout the day and for all 8 days of Hanukkah. This practice should be discontinued, for it's spiritually unhealthy for anyone to be totally free of responsibility. Some women, they're so strict. Some women, they have extra strictness. They don't work the whole year. And we don't recommend that at all, Loafing can bring one to sin. Indeed, loafing itself is sinful. Doing nothing, right? Even so, some poskim suggested that a woman avoid strenuous labor such as spinning thread or laundering clothes during the days of Hanukkah, or at least avoid it on the first and eighth days. These restrictions apply to women only. There is no custom whatsoever for men to refrain from any sort of labor during Hanukkah.
So the men do the working. That's what I'm hearing. I heard that.
You're making up stuff.
Okay.
No, I just heard it. Good.
Mourning, God forbid. Eulogizing and fasting during the days of Hanukkah. People sometimes fast, even when it's not on the calendar. We have 6 fast days on the calendar. Some people had custom to do extra fasts. For example, who can give me an example?
Like for health? People fast for health?
Let's say for health reason. Okay, health reason is one of them. Could be religious reasons. For atonement, number 2. You're fair, very good. What else? Some has the custom to do. What?
For a bad dream.
Bad dreams, good. 4. Yard site. Some has on yard site fasting during the day and dedicated for Torah learning. So that will be enough. Okay, for good reasons to fast. Okay. In general, it's good to fast. There is no, as I mentioned before, there is no mitzvah to eat in the Torah. Only on Shabbat to do Kiddush. Holidays, other than that, there's no mitzvah to eat. But if you eat, you have to say blessing, right? Obviously. Many of the Mekubalim fast through the entire week, eating only from Friday to Friday. Sounds hard to believe, but I know at least one guy. We got Rabbi Sharabi, that did it for 7 years. And after Motzei Shabbos, the fourth Seudah, so that David HaMelech, he would not eat. No Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, nothing. Only on Friday, the next Kiddush. And he was able to elevate himself, his spirituality, very, very high. Many Mekubalim used to do that, especially in the days of Tzefat, and the Ari HaKadosh, and all that. Tov. So what about fasting during these 8 days, or eulogizing? Since our sages decreed that the days of Hanukkah are days of joy and thanksgiving, it is improper. This is the original time for Thanksgiving, okay, by the way. It is improper on Hanukkah to eulogize someone who has passed away. It is, however, permissible to eulogize a Torah scholar, but even then, only in the presence of his body. This applies to any Torah scholar whose contemporaries considers him Talmid Chacham. It means the students, the disciples consider him Talmid Chacham, and he has to be in that, for example, special room in the Levia's place, when the body, the Aron, the Ark is there, and they say this eulogizing. What about going to the cemetery on Hanukkah? So the custom on the Yort side to go to the cemetery to wash the tombstone, to wash the grave, maybe to put flowers, to light a candle. Some has a custom to gather 10 people to say Kaddish over there, a few psalms. Can we do that on Hanukkah? He passed away, that person, he or she, passed away on these days. Every year it'll be the same. One of the days they want to go, like everyone else. So, someone who devoted his life to teaching Torah to school children and who's studied Torah on a daily basis has the status of a Torah scholar who may be eulogized in his body's presence even on Hanukkah. If someone passes away during Hanukkah, his immediate relatives must observe all the laws of mourning, even though these are days of national celebration. They must rend their clothing as usual, and others should come to visit them and console them even during the days of Hanukkah. So there's no question about that. What about the custom to go to the cemetery? It is a common custom to visit the grave of a relative at the end of the first week of mourning and again at the end of the month of mourning. Be'ezrat Hashem, remind me one day we'll do one class about what's happened with the neshama, of the soul after a person passed away, who is coming to take him, why the neshama goes ups and down. Is the neshama around when they do this shiva? What's the neshama does the entire year, on the 30th, on the 70th, the 30th, and on the year. There's a whole process the neshama go through. Okay? So, what's going to happen if this is their yahrzeit? This is the time they passed away on Hanukkah. So, as we said, it is common custom to visit the grave of a relative at the end of the first week of mourning and again at the end of the first month of mourning. It's called the Shloshim. They make an aliyah over there to the grave and do Kaddish there. This custom is cited in the Shulchan Aruch. Nevertheless, one should not visit the grave during the 8 days of Hanukkah. So, they're never going to go. He passed away on one of the days. Let's say on the candle number 3. Every year he died because of number 3. It's the same date every year. They're never going to go to the grave. They bury them and just live with them. Live there forever.
No. Is there a makeup day?
There is a makeup date. And certainly not on Rosh Chodesh, since a visit to the grave is likely to bring the relatives to tears and sobbing, the family should postpone visiting the graves until after Hanukkah. So they should set up a day right after. You could see sometimes people don't understand why many people are going to the cemetery right after Hanukkah. That's the reason they couldn't go beforehand. Make sense? Okay. Someone asked me the other day if he can go just in the middle of the year. It doesn't have to be on the day he passed away. And what's the answer?
I mean, he could visit any time, but the significance isn't the same.
You said once we try not to.
Oh, it's highly not recommended to go there at all unless you really need to. Especially women should not go ever to the cemetery. In the ancient days, not in ancient days, even recently in Yemen, well, that was the custom. I don't know about in Europe, but they used to, only the men used to go, bury and come back. The woman, the family, the wives / daughters, sisters, they would go to the house where the body was prepared, or whatever the house they prepared, and then they would go back from their home, and only the men would go and bury. The Gaon Mevilna wrote to his daughter and to his wife, and says, don't go to the cemetery, because all people's problems comes from there. It says, avoid it at all cost. Don't you ever go to them. And he brings more reasoning, and the Talmud brings, and the Kabbalah says, what's the Satan that the angel of death is doing there, and the Satan, and especially when they're women, it's a time of judgment, very, very hard. And especially you see women that they're not so tznius, they wear not appropriate clothing, and they're adding more to the judgment that the participant already have. So only those who have to go, you go. Other than that, there's no reason for you to be in such place. Okay? So it depends on the situation. Okay? Someone cannot stand that, he has to go. So you don't argue with them. You tell them, it's better not. You don't scare them. You don't force them not to go. You try to explain. People, it's a very sensitive situation. If they feel they want to go, it's on them. I remember when my father-in-law passed away, that was during Passover, and my wife went to Eretz Israel, and her brother is very attached to the father. Every night of the Shiva, he go there. And after that, every night he went there for an hour or two to cry, to say Tehillim. He could not let him go. So at some point, he asked Odelia, my wife, to go with him, and she went with him also. And because they tried to tell him the whole Shiva and the whole not to go, but she had a plan. So she went with him, and she saw the guy, one of the rabbi that was in charge there. It was a night burial, and she asked him, he's someone from the neighborhood that everybody knows, she asked him, please speak with my brother. He's going every night. Every night he's here. He's just going to the car, sneaking out and going. And then he talked to him, he said to him that he actually making the neshama suffering more every time he comes. It's not good for the neshama. At that point, he stopped going. Okay. My wife knows more details, and when I ask her later, she'll give you all the details of this story. So, they didn't try to stop him forcefully, don't go. He had to go, he had to release his pain and sorrow. Okay, next. If the end of the first month of mourning over a deceased relative occurs on Hanukkah, it is permissible to mark the occasion with a special meal and Torah study session. The speakers may deliver inspiring lectures which include Torah thoughts on behalf of the soul of the departed, but they may not eulogize him in a manner that might bring the family members to cry. Okay. The practice of refraining from reciting Kaddish on behalf of one's recently departed parent during the days of Hanukkah is incorrect. If someone has this practice, others should attempt to convince him to change his custom.
I mean, you should not say Kaddish, or you should say Kaddish?
No, it's a bad custom. He should say Kaddish.
You should say Kaddish.
Should.
Not to say Kaddish is a bad thing.
No,
Okay, so you should, yes?
he should. Let me read it again. Maybe I messed it up. The practice of refraining from reciting Kaddish on behalf of one's recently departed parent during the days of Hanukkah is incorrect.
No, okay.
Okay? That's what I said, no?
Yes,
You hear the
we just
refrain
heard,
here.
we just heard refrain and stuff, and we were like, what?
Okay, next.
If you started Shiva like 2-3 days before Hanukkah,
If someone, don't say you, if someone.
someone, or you, let's say you.
No, no,
Hey,
no.
No, don't say.
Someone, they continue Shiva.
If one say,
Someone starts Shiva before Hanukkah. The Shiva continues. It doesn't. It's Hanukkah.
no, continue. No, doesn't, yeah.
That's hard to get your mouth.
But Rabbi, you said that it brings pain to the neshama when you go visit them in the cemetery. So why do you do it on the yort side? Why do you do it on the shloshim? Why would you go if it causes pain to the neshama?
On the days that you can go, it's good for the neshama. Only the set days.
Only on
The 1st, the 7th, the 30th, and the year.
Okay.
The neshama is supposed to be there. That's what I told you, because we have to do shiur for that. Other than that, you bother the neshama. It has to go down when it doesn't want to go. There's can you give me, give me from the Tanakh, from the Bible, an example of a neshama that was bothered. Neshama was cold and it was not ready to go down. Thank you. Shaul the prophet and Shmuel. Okay? And Shmuel told Shaul, why are you bothering me? I'm not supposed to be here. Okay? So when they go there, they're calling to the neshama. Okay. That means that it was a tzaddik. When Shmuel told, I see you tomorrow with your 3 kids, it means that Shaul is a tzaddik because Shmuel is in heaven. I see you tomorrow, you're coming where I'm at. That's a good thing. But let's wait till we study the book of Samuel. Tov. And we see how Shaul was such a great tzaddik. He knew that he's going to die tomorrow, and regardless, yet he went to the war. Shaul was a tzaddik. I know some Christians think that Saul was a wicked person, and David and Solomon. I don't know where they bring in this nonsense. I don't believe it. Okay. It is forbidden to fast during. Sorry.
What about somebody who's not going?
What about him? If it's okay to go.
Act the same?
It's much different. And a cemetery of a non-Jews, it doesn't have the status of a Jewish cemetery. If I go to a Jewish cemetery, it makes me impure, and I have to go through the process of purification, which is not the same if I go to a cemetery of a non-Jews. They don't make a Jew impure after their death. After the death, it's the opposite. And the Arabs try to avoid the Jews to go through one of the gates of Yerushalayim, so they made it a cemetery, not knowing that it's okay for us to go there. It doesn't really change your status. If you go through that gate, through that cemetery, you still go to Beis Hamikdash or Abayit, there's no problems. Okay?
There's no Jews buried there. Right. There's no Jews buried there.
No.
By the gate.
It's a very interesting topic to discuss what's the difference and why it's like that. The holiness of the Jews and the impurity of the non-Jews, and the impurity of the Jew, and this time it's actually the opposite in these cases. Okay?
What about Tumat Temet? Impurity of death, is that the same for non-Jews?
Did you raise your hand?
Like the
Did you raise your
cemeteries?
hand? Someone raise his hand over here.
You can't, there's no.
Order in the court. Go ahead.
Does the soul, does the neshama act the same way for a non-Jew? Like, is it coming down on the first?
Oh, guys, I know you're pulling me to this topic. I don't want to discuss that. I told you it's going to be a class. If you remind me, especially about neshamot, about souls. I'm telling you from right now, you're probably not going to sleep well that night. Prepare yourself.
What about military grave sites? We have Jewish, Christians, and especially.
The Jewish spots
Yep.
is different than spiritually. I mean, what was the question, Yuda?
Is the impurity of death like the cemetery where it isn't the same for non-Jews as Jews?
No, it's not the same. I just answered that. It's not the same. I'm about. Don't pull me to that topic. Okay, next. Yes, it is forbidden to fast during Hanukkah. Therefore, if the yard site of someone's parent is on Hanukkah, he may not fast on that day. Instead, he may fast on the day before Hanukkah. There is no prohibition against fasting on the day before or the day after Hanukkah. See how we should treat and look these days of Hanukkah? It's a days of joy. It's so important to be in joy and be involved in joy activities that we are rejecting all these very important events in person's life. It's customary in Eretz Israel, that's what I do when I go to Eretz Israel every year, Baruch Hashem, to visit in the Tzaddikim's tombs area, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the gravesite, the Ari, Rabbi Akiva, and so forth and so on. What about the days of Hanukkah? Are we avoiding these days to go to the cemetery?
It won't bring you sadness. You don't go to your family to bring sadness. So going to the
Very good. That's the main. Some poskim, notably the Ben Ish Chai, ruled that it is permissible to visit the graves of great tzaddikim, such as those of the Tanaim and the Amoraim, even during the days of Hanukkah and Chol HaMoed. Rav Chaim Palachi in Moed Lekol Chai, very important book, by the way. However, ruled that even this, it brings a lot of zgulo, a lot of reasoning and all that. However, ruled that even this forbidden. Anyone who wishes to follow the lenient opinion has halachic basis on which to rely. And what's the reason? We don't cry over there, but some people go there in order to cry and ask from the tzaddik to be melitz yosha, be as an agent before Shamayim for their own, God forbid, sicknesses or whatever. So it caused them that you go to the you see many people crying. Like you go to the kotel, you will hear people crying right next to you. Okay, it's a place that with the power of tears. Very much.
But Rabbi,
There's a whole groups you see from outside. I see usually it's a groups that come from America or from Europe, like Taglit and all these groups that bringing them to a tour in Israel, and one of of course it's the Kotel, but they're bringing them through a very special route, and for some of them they do the Kriya. They tear the garments because the mitzvah to do that in Yerushalayim when you see the destruction of the temple. But all of them, they're bringing them with their eyes covered. They've never been in the Kotel before. They heard about it, they saw a movie, they saw pictures, they learn about it, they teach about the Kotel and the significance of that place right before they visit there. So they're taking them blindfolded, they're putting them in a group before the Kotel, and at once they say, remove it. And then they remove it, they see there's some music, everybody cries. Even those who watch them cries. It's so emotional to see that. It's unbelievable. Tov, yes, sorry.
One question, talking about going to the covers of the tzaddikim. their souls?
No.
You go visit
No.
their souls?
It's a different story with the tzaddikim and tanaim and amoraim, and it says that the tzaddikim consider hayim, they consider alive, even after they're dead. Okay. Okay. We have 4 more minutes, so let's talk a little bit about the seudah. Is it mandatory to have a seudah, a meal on Hanukkah? Give me a date that it's a mitzvah to do seudah. Purim. Purim, Passover, Sukkot, Shabbat, fine. What about Hanukkah? On Purim, there's some similarities to Hanukkah. Purim, we were saved from the enemies. They want to annihilate the entire Jewish nation. And so on in Hanukkah. The Greeks, the war, they want to kill the Jews. On Purim, there's a mitzvah to have a seudah. This year is going to be, if I remember correctly, on Motzei Shabbos, right after Shabbat. So the seudah always, the mitzvah of the seudah always is during the day, not at night. You can have it at night, but the mitzvah is during the day. The mishloach manot, passing the mishloach manot, it's also during the day. When we get B'ezras Hashem, we will study together the mitzvah, the laws of Purim. But in Hanukkah, there is a mitzvah to have seudah, like Purim. Sounds like it's the same situation. It's not a chiyuv. Special meals on Hanukkah. Some poskim ruled. Poskim means, what's the meaning of the word poskim or posek? The rabbis that gives the verdict, the rabbis that set up the halacha. They call poskim, paskin. Some poskim is the plural of posek. Posek is the rabbi, the one is paskin. So some poskim ruled that there is no mitzvah to celebrate Hanukkah with festive meals, since our sages did not specify that this is a time of feasting and joy. Therefore, any meal eaten during Hanukkah is considered an ordinary meal and not a mitzvah celebration. Other poskim ruled that there is a mitzvah to celebrate Hanukkah through eating. The custom is to celebrate it with meals and to sing praises to God during those meals, thus converting an ordinary meal into a mitzvah celebration. Make sense? So meaning if you have a seudah with washing hands, even without washing hands, okay? But you have a seudah and you have words of Torah that's related to Hanukkah and singing, you are converting an ordinary to a great mitzvah, so why not? But it's not mandatory, you don't have to. It's customary to have, many have celebration, the JCC, people's home, lighting candles together and all that. So be smart, take advantage, you're already there, you're already eating. Turn it, switch it, convert it to a mitzvah meal. If possible, one should take advantage of these celebrations to discuss the Torah halachot, an inspiring material that will bring the participants to strengthen their fear of God and to draw closer to Him. Those who do so have gained immeasurable merit, and by doing so, they certainly convert these meals into mitzvah celebration. So you can do that yourself, or you can support such a meal. Make sure that they will have their words of Torah, so you're a part of this a great mitzvah. Nonetheless, you yourself cannot be the one that gives the words of Torah or arrange the meal. May it be the will of heaven that miracles be performed for us in our times, just as God performed miracles for our forefathers long ago during these days. Through God's help, we will achieve our final and eternal salvation. May we merit to see the coming of the Messiah and to kindle the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. The Hebrew letters of Mashiach, Messiah, Mashiach, are an acronym for the Hebrew words Madlikin Shmona Yemei Hanukkah.
Amen.
Did you get the words? Mashiach, how you write Mashiach? Mem, Shin, Yud, Chet. So it's also the acronym of Madlikim. Light, kindle. Madlikin, Shin, Shimon, Shmona is the numbers, 8, Yud is Yemei, the days, Hanukkah, of Hanukkah. So Mashiach is the acronym. We're doing some actions, everything that we do, participate in such mitzvah, we are bringing closer and closer the Mashiach. Didn't finish, give me one more minute. We kindle lights during the 8 days of Hanukkah. May we soon merit to see the glory of the King Mashiach with our own eyes. Amen. Amen. I will end this class with just the questions, food for thoughts, and maybe homework. But I know you guys will forget 2 minutes after leaving the room. I've tested before. The English. What is the English date? It's Wednesday night.
Christmas night, December 25th, yeah.
25th? Okay, 25th. It's Wednesday. Okay, question. Did you notice that there's a custom to eat dairy food? Someone is recording me here.
I am. I don't want to miss your question.
Well, you have it here.
I know, but then I gotta log in.
No, it's going to be linked to YouTube. Okay, fine. So I need to behave. Hold on. Let me fix it. So, it's customary to eat dairy food during Hanukkah. ¿Por qué? Why?
Wasn't it because...
Next week. Thanks you for coming. Shalom. Shavua tov. Next week, same place, same time, here Be'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.